What's up, guys? Hope you guys can hear me in the mic. What a mess. What a hot ghetto mess. Did you guys think it was going to be like this? Seriously. I haven't been able to talk. Today's probably the first day I'm going to be able to talk. I'm sorry I got food in my mouth, but stressed. I had to eat. I'm eating popcorn. Because this stuff is like a movie. It's like a fast train movie. How is it going to end? Guys, I don't even know where to start. Where do you start? Where do you start? Day one, prosecution, defense, opening statements. Day two, Cassie came up pregnant, said everything that was going on. And my takeaway was, I know you guys already heard all the graphics, but the takeaway was just, he beat me, and then he beat me some more. And I couldn't leave because I didn't have money. I didn't know where to go. I was 19. Now I was 22. And he promised me a record deal. And he signed me to 10 records. And then he beat me some more. And then we had to have sex with prostitutes because that's what he wanted, and I didn't want to embarrass him. And she said at some point she didn't want another woman to take her space, and she had to do it during her menstrual, with urine, with lube, on drugs. She took ketamine, Percocet, Molly, Viagra, Blue Dolphin X. Then she had to take opioids to come down. She did this every week for 10 years, sometimes lasting for 4 days. Jesus, how is this girl still alive? And then she said he would beat her and stomp her in her head if she tried to go away, and he would beat her in her head. Then she started bringing in the bodyguards, how the bodyguards would come get her, and Christina Quorum and the chief of staff would hold her down and take her and hide her away. And then one time, her eye or her nose was so black and blue, she had to go and get plastic surgery. Wow. Wow. You are entering the belly of the beast. The belly of the beast. What goes on in people's demonic worlds. And a lot of you podcasters are like, I'm gonna go down there and I'm gonna be at the court and I'm gonna film and I'm gonna come. Y'all not ready for all this. I'm gonna go and I'll report it. Y'all gonna need a detox and a wash and to clean your brain, and how you gonna sleep at night? I just want to see here. What is the definition of sex trafficking? Let me share my screen. I should really stop eating, right? Here we go. Sex trafficking is a serious crime and human rights violation where individuals are forced, coerced, and deceived into engaging in sexual activities for someone else's profit. Was she forced? She was pulled by her hair. Was she coerced? She signed a 10-album deal. Was she deceived? I guess maybe he told her, I love you, I'm going to be with you. He called her CC, meaning Cassie Combs. Maybe he promised to marry her. Engaging in sexual activity for someone else's profit. Where's the paper trail? Where's the paper trail of someone's profit? They say she kept giving the sex workers bags of cash, maybe $4,000 cash, but if she had no money, whose money was she spending? His money, right? Key aspects of sex trafficking: force, physical violence, or threats used to control victims. Fraud. Physical violence, we saw that. Fraud, false promises, a job, education, relationship used to lure a victim. Of course, that was the 10-album deal. Coercion, emotional manipulation, blackmail, threats of family, and say, well, he told her, I have videos of you doing the freak offs, and I'm going to release them to your mother. You said that, right? Any gender, child or adult, people of any background. the vulnerable due to poverty, abuse, lack of support. Common signs: they have no control over their own ID, living where they work, fearful, anxious, submissive behavior, signs of physical abuse. She said he was going to threaten her. He was going to release the videos and threaten her. What else she said? There was something else in the court that she had said that struck a nerve. He was going to show the videos to her mother. He threatened her. He beat her. Oh, what about the surgery? What about he made her get breast implants, and then he didn't like the breast implants, and then he removed the breast implants. Then he made her get nipple piercings, and she didn't like it. Then he removed that one. Then he made her get another piercing down below. I'm not going to say that. She said she had multiple infections, urinary tract infections, so she couldn't have intercourse. It was burning her. It was so painful. She had sores in her mouth from being with multiple men during the week. And they wouldn't get tested, and they wouldn't use any protection. That woman went through it. That woman went through it. Or did she allow herself? I think a lot of people tell me, oh, well, she liked it. She wanted it. Who likes being defecated on? She was high. I never had a horse tranquilizer. You guys ever have a horse tranquilizer? She said she did what? CHB, and she passed out. She went into a black hole. They thought she had died. What is CHB? GHB. It suppresses the nervous system. It produces a type of euphoria and relaxation. GHB. Sounds like ketamine. Okay, what is transportation for prostitution? Let's read that one. Transportation for prostitution typically refers to the act of knowingly transporting someone for the purpose of engaging them in prostitution. This is considered a criminal offense in many places and is often associated with broader crimes such as human trafficking, pimping, or sex trafficking. Legal meaning. Under U.S. law, transportation of someone across state lines within the United States with the intent that they engage in prostitution can lead to federal charges, particularly under the Mann Act, 1910, makes it a federal crime to transport individuals across state lines and moral purposes, including prostitution. Human trafficking statutes, transportation for prostitution can be part of a trafficking charge of coercion, force, or fraud is involved. Key elements of the crime. To be charged with transportation for prostitution, law enforcement typically must prove a person is knowingly transported. The purpose was to facilitate prostitution. Consent may not always be a defense, especially if coercion or trafficking is involved. Felony charges, long prison sentence, fines, registration as a sex offender. She said she was taken to Spain. The free course were in Spain, New York, Miami, LA, in hotels. She hired the workers. She paid the workers under his control. He directed everything. How to perform, how to talk to the guy. I'm not even getting into the more gross details. Some of these details are really gross. So they released the email that was sent from the security guard in the International Continental Hotel in California. They did release this email. Let's see if I can share my screen. Sorry, guys, for eating. It's just stress. I'm stress eating. That's all. Like I'm on trial, right? I ain't the one on trial. Okay, greetings. Today, March 5th, 2016, at approximately 11:14 a.m., I received a call from Instant Services Wanda stating that she had just gotten a distress call from the 6th floor. So they were getting ready to check out. They were getting ready to check out of this hotel because she had a movie premiere. Then I looked at the cameras to familiar with a situation up on the floor. All I saw before I took off immediately was a black male wearing only a towel walking back and forth. I arrived to the scene at 11:15 a.m. I noticed the male black was rapper Sean Combs, aka P. Diddy. I observed Mr. Combs sitting down on the far left chair of the 6th floor, and the female who was closer to the hallway later identified as Cece by Mr. Combs. I saw the damage that had been done, and I began to diffuse the situation by advising Mr. Combs to understand his status and the safety and the concerns of our guests. He began yelling at Miss Cece, and I advised both of them to separate from each other, that it wasn't convenient for both of them to continue this, especially in the hallway, in a towel. I then proceeded to advise him to return back to his room. Mr. Combs began to offer me a bribe. You take care of this and I got you. Let's go to my room. I then responded with, sir, I know who you are, while extending my arm to him to shake his hand, and said, all I ask is for respect for the guests and myself. So do me a favor and let's return to your room. He got up and began to walk to his room. As we made our way down the north hallway, Miss Cece was behind us coming from the south hallway. Mr. Combs noticed her while turning back and began to raise his voice, and then told him that if he didn't respect the guests, then he would be escorted out of the property. We walked over to his room 602, and when we went inside and Miss Cece was told to leave Mr. Combs, so she did just that. Mr. Combs opened the door and brought out a currency band wrapped around $100 and told me again, thank you, and said, you take care of this and I take care of you. I declined the money and told Mr. Combs that all I needed was from him to stay in his room until checkout, which was today. I left the scene at 11:25 a.m. I took the elevator down and saw Miss Cece and advised her that I did not want him to see her. So I walked her over to the valet office until her ride got there and asked her that we would need some information from her to stand by, and then walked over to Maud Addie's office and advised him of the situation that I needed to represent. We then walked over to Miss Cece and she was unable to locate. We then went to the 6th floor and took pictures of the guest lobby, elevator, landing, and made our way to the guest room 602. Maud Addie wanted to introduce himself and let him know of the hotel rules and to advise him that the damages would be charged to his room. When Mr. Combs came out, when Mr. Combs came out, he was about to start yelling, still in his towel, but Maud Addie and I stopped him before he did, and advised him that we were not there to make it bigger than it already was. He saw Maud Addie holding his phone, and he automatically assumed he was being recorded. So he grabbed his hand, and then told him to back off and took away his hand away from Maud Addie. He was then told no one was recording him, that the safety and the privacy of the guests is important to the hotel, and if he tried to do something like that, he would be kicked out and escorted off the property by LAPD. He calmed himself down, apologized, and stated, it's just that I don't want to lose anything. I can lose it all. We then reassured him that all we need him to do was to calm down and not have any more scenes from the time until checkout. We left the scene and resumed normal operations. No, we will be conducting extra paroles until his checkout, in which we will be taking pictures of how the room is left at this moment where the pictures that Maud Addy took of the guest lobby. Please stand by until we have all the pictures. Mr. Coleman has not yet checked out. Okay. So they pulled the email that a call was made when she was getting beat and she wanted to leave. She didn't want to do the freak off, or she wanted to leave, or it was after the freak off, or whatever it was. So it proved that she was trying to get away. What about the Jonathan Odie? So they showed a picture of him today in court, and she was like, "Yeah, I recognize him. He was one of the sex workers in Miami that they often went to go visit. He was later arrested. I think he's been in prison like 8 years or something. He's waiting to go to court because he shot up the Trump Tower in Miami. But he was the one saying Sean and Cassie, he was their slave, and he's down with the Bula and the Illuminati, and that he would often have encounters with him and Rick Ross and DJ Khaled. But also recently what got leaked was the NDA. He had a $5 million NDA signed by Diddy because he had gave him, he had contracted a STD. So here it is. That's the NDA. Signed. It says confidential settlement agreement dated July 9th by Jonathan Odie, state of Florida, county of Miami-Dade, sworn to subscribe me before on this day, July 2014, by Jonathan Odie, who is personally known to me as and who did not take signature of oath, by the Notary of Public, dated July 9, 2014, Sean Combs, individually on behalf of Bad Boy Worldwide, Sean John Enterprises, and affiliated entities and persons. $5 million he paid the sex worker because he sued him. He had got an STD and he sued him and won. And then he was investigated by police because his account was negative $1,800. Then all of a sudden he had purchased like 4 or 5 properties cash in Florida. So it waved a flag. And he said that's where he got the money from. Because he sued him. This is a mess. This is one big mess. So I thought the defense was going to come up today with Cassie, but they didn't. I think she just did more testimony. She testified about how the bodyguards would hide her, the chief of staff. She talked about Uncle Paulie. I forgot what she brought up. Drake. She brought up Drake. She brought up Jonathan Odie. She brought up Uncle Paulie. She brought up Suge Knight. The incident when Diddy gave her 2 guns because what's his name? Biggie's best man who got out of jail. What was his name? Oh, I forgot his name. Guys, help me. Who was his name? I don't know why I got a blank. D-Rock. She brought up D-Rock. She brought up Suge Knight. She said Diddy gave her guns to go they were trying to attack Suge Knight in LA. She brought up something with Uncle Paulie. She brought up Christina Quorum. She brought up Kim Porter several times. 2-3 times. Christina Quorum, chief of staff, Jonathan Order, sex worker. She brought up Drake. One night she was at a Drake party and Diddy took her to a gay club. Wanted to do a freak off in California at the gay club and she didn't want to, and she had to text us, I don't want to, and he said, I'm gonna leak all your videos to your mother. Horrible. Who else did she bring in here? I'm missing somebody. Let's go read day 1. Let's do a recap of day 1 really quick. If you guys are already caught up, Just fast forward. It's too much to go through 8 hours every day, 8 hours, 8 hours Monday, 8 hours Tuesday, 8 hours. It's just so much. It's like it's going fast. Okay, here we go. Cassie Ventura told the court that she allegedly coerced into depraved sex acts with male prostitutes, savagely beaten and blackmailed by Sean Diddy Combs during the day's devastating testimony against the disgraced music mogul. Combs, 55, is on trial in New York charged with sex trafficking and racketeering, which he denies. But Venture, 28, delivered bombshell testimony about how she was allegedly coerced into participating in drug-fueled sex sessions that could last up to 4 days. In humiliating detail, the 8.5 months pregnant singer claimed she was piled with booze and drugs and forced to perform in the orgies, also known as freak-offs, along with male escorts. The encounters perform part of a turbulent 10-year relationship with Combs, which was consumed by violence and his obsession with voyeurism, the singer told the court. The allegedly sexually exploitation of Ventura broken and feeling like it was all I was good for, she said. She was broken down. Yeah, he used to call her, oh, you look Mexican, your sneakers are dirty, your fingernails are tripped. He psyching your fingernails, you got tripped fingernail polish. He really tried to break down her spirit. Or let's say he was successful. And I'm tired of people always saying, well, where was her father? Where was her parents? Maybe she had her father in her life. Who are we to judge? You know what? Maybe some strength for you, maybe a weakness for other. We don't know. Day one, the first day of Ventura's testimony got off to explosive start. As she described the freak-offs in graphic details, including one alleged instance where a male escort urinated in her mouth at Combs' request. Within the first year of the relationship, Sean proposed to me this sexual encounter that he called voyeurism, where he'll watch me have sexual activity with a third party, specifically another man. It entails the hiring of an escort and setting up this experience so that I could perform for Sean. It involved Sean being able to watch me with the other person and actually directed us on to what we were doing sexually. One of Combs' particularly side requests, Ventura alleged, was to have a male escort urine in her mouth during the freak off. Sometimes he himself, Combs, he would have to escort urinate on me. There was no conversation. It was a turn on for him, so it happened. When asked if she wanted this, she said firm no, describing it was humiliating as anyone was there to see it. It was disgusting. It was too much, overwhelming. In an indication of a procedure, she said I was choked and laid on the floor in a position that I couldn't easily get out of it. After she was able to ask the escort to stop, she replied, I put my hands up and Sean saw and told him to stop. Only thing I could do laying on the floor, too much urine in my mouth. Prosecutor said, did Sean want to urinate on you? Ventura, I didn't want anyone to urinate on me. I was squeamish immediately and high in the moment with this man, so that's what happened. Throughout her testimony, Ventura said she did not actively want to participate in the freak-offs, and her first time was no different. I remember my stomach falling to my butt, the singer said. The nervousness and confusion on the moment. I had just turned 22. I didn't have a concept of how that would be a turn on. And I also felt a sense of responsibility with him sharing something like that with me. I was confused, nervous, but I loved him very much and wanted to make him happy. Ventura then described the typical pattern of the freak-off. She said it would begin with oil and touching, then progress to oral sex and full intercourse. First sex acts, masturbating, then looking at each other. I would be looking at the escort, and they would be looking at me. I would describe what I saw in detail. That's what turned Combs on, his fantasy. It was always awkward sitting describing someone else's private parts to another male was pretty awkward and humiliating, but eventually it became normal. It would lead to intercourse. Ventura said sometimes both the escort and Combs would have sex with her. Other times, the fallen mogul would just watch, she added. If I was having intercourse with the escort, Sean would walk up and have to give me blank blank. Asked if the escort blank. The star was usually when it was okay for them per Sean. But if they did, Sean would have to go to the next room. Oh God. Oh God, this is disgusting. This is nasty. If escorts ejaculated without being given permission by Combs, they were paid less money. This dude is psychotic. And Lucifer, he is demonic. He is psychotic. What a control freak. He is crazy. During one session, Diddy choreographed Ventura getting into a pool of baby oil at the hotel in Beverly Hills and a full outfit purchased from a sex shop in heels. She said she didn't want to do it, especially in the hotel room, but that she couldn't say no because it would have been all bad. Ventura described how allegedly sessions were full with cocktail abuse and drugs. They became almost weekly. It became dependent on where they were weekly and consistent amount of years. The drugs honestly helped. Ecstasy, Molly. We started to do other drugs like cocaine later on. How is she still alive? She said she has to fight every day with drug addiction. I mean, so does Mary J. Blige. A lot of them. They're drug addicts. She's like, I have to fight every, and she has almost three kids. They became almost weekly. It became dependent on where we were, whether we were a consistent amount of years. The drugs honestly helped. Ecstasy and Molly. We started to do other drugs like cocaine later on. The alleged abuse was not just sexual, but physical and psychological too. At certain times, I knew it wasn't even about me. And the next thing, I was getting hit in the face. Yeah, I heard every time her head was on the ground, he would stomp her out. Every time her head, she lay down or something, he would kick her in her head. How do his kids sit there and listen to this? How does your mother and your kids just sit there and listen to this? Seriously, if I wasn't smiling at him the way he wanted, I just looked a certain way. He didn't like. Maybe I was a brat or something. Or he would let me know I need to fix my face or watch my mouth. Psychological. Well, she's 20 years younger than him, so of course he's going to talk to her like a child. Psychological was every day, not knowing what he was going to do when he woke up. That day was a lot. Someone constantly telling you who to be. Ventura also began testimony about how infamous assault by Combs at the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles in 2016, which was caught on civilians' footage. I'm not sure what happened. I got hit by Sean in the back of my eye. I got hit by Sean, had blocked my eye, and at that point, all I could think about was getting out of there safely. I had my premiere and didn't want to mess it up. I just knew I had to get out. I grabbed my stuff and ran as fast as I could. I made it out the elevators, got my sneakers on. The next thing I had was just gotten thrown to the ground. It was really fast. I ran out without my shoes. It was faster. Sean grabbed me by the back of my neck and threw me on the ground. A lot of times she said she would go out, she'd have a black eye, but she would just wear her hair like down over her eyes so she wouldn't see it. That was day one. So day two was today. Ventura resumed her. So they didn't. I thought today that they were gonna cross-examine, but it looks like the defense didn't come up yet. They did not come up yet. So day two, Ventura resumed her testimony about 2016 attack on her second day on the stand. There was a vase with flowers in it. The singer testified, I remember it coming towards me. I didn't get hit. I remember it hitting the wall. He was yelling at me and he threw it at me. As the video played, Ventura was seen biting a lip and taking deep breaths while sipping on water. The court was also shown images of Ventura with a black eye and a busted lip in the aftermath. She told the court, how did she go out to the premiere that next day? She did that movie premiere next day. Let me see something. What day was that? What day was the attack? Let me see something. saying in court. Oh, it was 2016. What day was it? 2016. Was it May? March 2016. March 5th. So this is her at the movie premiere. The same day, March 5th, 2016, when they alleged in court that she had a black eye and a busted lip. She got beat up and she was like, "Oh no, I got to get fixed because I got my movie premiere, The Perfect Match, and it's not gonna." She had a black eye and a busted lip. I guess she had a good makeup artist. So they had a freak off that night. They checked off the hotel that day. She was like, "I got to get the hell out of here. I got my movie premiere." And she's out there smiling. I did hear she had a bruise on her arm, but she had put some makeup to cover it up. I don't know, guys. I mean, we know she got beat, but then she just showed up. She showed up. I don't know. So let's go back. Day 2. Ventura resumed her testimony about the 2016 attack on her second day at the stand. There was a vase with flowers in it. The singer testified, "I remember it coming towards me. I didn't get hit. I remember it hitting the wall. He was yelling at me and threw it." As the video played, Ventura was seen biting her lip, taking deep breaths while sipping on water. The court was also shown images of Ventura with a black eye and a busted lip in the aftermath. She told the court her friend Carrie Morgan called the cops after seeing the state she was in, prompting a flurry of angry texts from Combs. "I have a premiere for my biggest thing I've ever done in my life on Monday." A message from Ventura to Combs showed in the court, "You are sick for thinking it's okay to do what you've done with me. Please stay away from me." Carrie Morgan. This name came up like twice yesterday, where they showed pictures of them together. Let's see if we can find it. Carrie Morgan, Cassie Ventura. Why Alex Fine is coming up? Carrie. You guys know why they asked her husband to leave the trial? Carrie Morgan. Is this her? Is this Carrie Morgan? This young girl? Wait. Maybe it's this girl right here. Carrie Morgan. So they asked Alex Fine. They were like, "Okay, you gotta leave the room because anything comes on after 2:18." Because I think that's when they're gonna talk about when she tried to, after Kim Porter died, she left him and then he came to the apartment and he, raped her. So I think that's why they were saying that her husband had to leave the room because the defense may cross examine him. The rapper then replied stating that he was about to be arrested, encouraged her to answer his frenzy calls. Oh, he thought he was going to be arrested. "If you don't pick up, you'll never hear my voice again. Damn, I'll never ignore your calls." But when the police arrived, Ventura testified that she was afraid to talk to them. Wow. So the hotel did call the police, and the police came, and she was like, "No, I'm not going to press charges." I answered a couple of questions, but when they wanted me to say who I was talking about, I wouldn't, so they left it. In that moment, I didn't want to hurt him in that way. Just too much going on. It was a lot for me at the moment. I wasn't ready. Early in the testimony, Ventura described how she stopped fighting back during the alleged assaults at the risk of angering Combs further. "I learned it could escalate the fight more and more and make it worse for myself. Sometimes it would slow him down and he would stop. But other times it would just make him more violent, make him stronger, make him want to push me harder." Ventura described other altercations where she left with a deep gash that required surgical treatment after allegedly being attacked by Combs after he found her asleep on a sofa. Damn, he's asleep and he comes and he beats her up to where she needed plastic surgery. I think she had a cut. She had a big cut on her eyebrow. She said, "When Sean came in, I was asleep and it was a commotion, him yelling at us. Dante and Mia, her friends, jumped in Sean's back because he was trying to attack me. We ended up in the living room into the master bedroom. We were still jumping on his back. When he threw me down, I cut my eyebrow on the corner of the bed. It was a Sunday, so nothing was open. Sean had security bring me to a plastic surgeon's office to get a suture on it." She claimed that Combs then forced her to go to Hamptons, where another freak off took place, and escorted. The escort's name was Dave. At that time, they were taking GHB. On G, you can go into a G hole, and I blacked out. I woke up nude in the shower, and Dave and Sean were freaking out outside. What is a G hole? What? Does anyone know what a G hole? Guys, give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you're listening. What is a G hole? A coma. The term G hole can refer to a few different things depending on the context. Drug-induced coma. The most common usage of G hole refers to a coma state, including by overdose of drug GHB. Mm-mm. You're gonna die. That's crazy. The singer also identified a host of other male escorts used during the freak offs from photographs presented in binders. She described how Combs encouraged her to recruit the men. That's the slick thing. He's going to say she picked the men and she paid for it. But it was under his direction. So he's going to be like, I didn't sex traffic her. She picked her own men and she paid for it. Who reached out to the escorts? Prosecutor asked. Me, based on who Sean is. I didn't want to put him in that position. It was expected of me. The singer was also questioned further about drugs used during the freak offs. Texas was shown to the jury where Combs appeared to ask Ventura not to use ketamine, also known as K, as it would slow down the experience. You know, we have to have proper faux without no K. I need to get it out of my head. I hate K. So let me know when. What was Sean saying about K? That took time out of the freak off, she replied. It was my preferred drug because it was very this is showed what? This cognitive. And you could go into something called K hole where you're not present in the moment, you're just high and not doing any K hole. She was in a G hole, a coma, a drug induced coma, and a K hole. When asked if there was anything she should avoid doing, Venture said, I was really against kissing. I felt it was too intimate, but still happened anyway. Ventura told the court Combs requested the freak offs were relentless and even led him derailing plans he had made on her 29th birthday. I wanted to go to this club called Blind Dragon and do karaoke with my friends. After dinner, we were steering to head towards that way, but Sean let me know he wanted to have a freak off. I was like, not right now. I want to celebrate my birthday. We ended up getting to Blind Dragon, but he kept pulling me away from his friends. I think there's a gay nightclub, the Blind Dragon. There's a gay nightclub. Why do I know this? I don't know. I told him I wanted to stay out of the. I want to stay out and celebrate with my friends. I just didn't want to have the burden of doing that at the end of the night. He pulled me out so many times, and I gave up and went and had a freak off. Ventura testifies that Combs used videos and orgies to blackmail her into performing more. One was Sean mentioned these tapes of videos when he was angry, and sometimes he really wanted me to fare. When he was upset with me about something, it was a pretty common thing. One time I dated someone else, and that was what it was all about. I'm going to put out 2 embarrassing videos of you. He just wanted to hurt me. What did he say? That he was going to release them and embarrass me and put my career in jeopardy. That he would be mad enough to put them out, and then I would have to answer to my mother. You know, he would do that too, because they did that with Eve. Stevie J, him and Stevie J, they took a tape, and sure enough, they put a tape out on Eve. I heard they had a tape out on J Lo, but Suge Knight was like, "Don't release J Lo's cool. She's from the block. Don't do that to J Lo." They had a tape on Kim Kardashian. This is nothing new. I fear for my career. I fear for my family. Just embarrassing and it's horrible and disgusting. No one should do that to anyone. What did Sean say to you about the impact? Johnson asked. That it could ruin everything I work for to make me look like a slut. I'd be ashamed. I wasn't supposed to be on these videos. I didn't want him to be in them. She recounted the innocent following the Cannes Film Festival, where Combs allegedly kicked her off a yacht and withheld her possession, including her passport. She alleged that he had blackmailed her with videos on the way back to. So he threw her off the boat on the yacht, and then she still showed up for an event. It's crazy. We hadn't spoken since the incident. He kicked me off at the boat. While sitting together, he would grab my legs and squeeze my thighs as tightly as he could. I was wearing a beaded dress, so it was really painful. We flew on a commercial flight to New York. I had a seat that I had traded with someone. I didn't want to sit next to Sean, and he switched with the person. We ended up riding together. He pulled up videos of freak-offs. I thought I deleted them. He was playing them for me on the flight back from New York. When asked how it felt, her feeling, she said she re-encountered her terror. Couldn't have felt worse. Also scared. I had just got my passport back. I felt trapped. How did you get out of the situation when somebody's feeling trapped? Ventura also provided graphic detail about her physical toll on the freak-offs took on her body. I had a lot of stomach issues, gastro lining issues from taking drugs. I get freaking UTIs. If you haven't had one, you don't know how painful it is. When we were having freak-offs, sometimes they were back-to-back. I couldn't get rid of it. I was doing freak-offs with an infection. Antibiotic medicine didn't even work for me anymore. It was just a mess, really painful. Occasionally, I got sores in my tongues from freak-offs, from the substances, and just friction in my mouth, from oral sex and from having my mouth on things, oils, astroglide, and lubricants. Ventura recalled the exhaustion she felt after each sex session. I felt so tired, achy, really dehydrated because you're up for so long, not really eating so much, just empty, she added, of her emotional state afterwards, especially if we didn't continue. I didn't stay with him. That's why he needs those IV drips. Him and his mother go get IV drips after they party because they're so dehydrated from drugs. Man, this is long. This is a lot. This is a lot, guys. I'm going to have to lay down and take a nap after this. She described an alleged attack by Combs after following a night at the LA nightclub, which she was severe in her left, which was severe and left her hiding for a week. Ventura said the altercation began after he called her a slut and a bitch, and she drunkenly punched him in the back of his car. This whole demeanor just switched over, she said. His eyes went black. We were in the Escalade, but the two sitting in the middle, we had our friend following us back to the house. After I punched him, he attacked me. I was underneath at the back of the seat trying to cover my face. Sean was stomping on it with his foot. The ride back to the house was short, but the whole ride was a flight until we got there, probably 10 minutes up a hill. I never experienced anything like that where I was getting really, really beaten badly. The car was going back to Sean's house he was renting. I took off running and started running down the street. Security caught up with me and I was brought back to the house. I finally saw my face. Just didn't look like myself. Just knots and bleeding. I think I was vomiting when he came in. The person he switched over to was now gone and freaking out over the side of it. She describes how she fled to the London hotel to recuperate from her injuries. I understood Sean's capabilities, his access to guns, the threats he made prior to that. I was privy. She recalled another alleged incident following a party at Prince's house, which ended in a fight. He beat me up. He was throwing luggage at me, calling me all kinds of names, and left me with bruises on my head. Combs became violent after he discovered that Ventura was dating rapper Kid Cudi. I remember him pulling up a wine bottle opener between his fingers and lunging it at me. Eyes blacked out, super angry, and I got out of there. When I was leaving, he kicked me in the back. Boom! Kicked her in the back on the way out. So I had a big bruise on my back. If y'all don't give this man life, if you don't get this man life, he kicked her in the back. What's wrong with y'all people? Y'all don't like women and kids? Do you see what this lady is sitting up here testifying? Broke her eye, broke her nose, gave her plastic surgery, urinated on her, defecated on her, revenge porn, UTDs, kicked her in the back. Boom! Kicked her in her back. I fell on the floor and left. I had bruises in other places in my body. I remember that one because he kicked me on the bottom of his foot in my back. But his fury did not end there. Ventura testified, and she alleged Combs threatened to blow up Kid Cudi's car. He mentioned that his car would get blown up. Wow. Did you guys hear that? Did you guys hear all that? Are you busy just hearing me eating this popcorn? I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. This is only day 3. Day 3. And we got 2 more months of this. How are we going to get through 2 whole months? This is a sad story. This dude Diddy is heartless. It's a sad situation. Shout out to everybody here. Go ahead and hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. I'll try to come back tomorrow. Hopefully I won't have any popcorn. And I'll sound a little bit more clear. I'm a little nasal because I've been fighting some really bad allergies. So hopefully I'll sound a little better. I wonder if Jonathan Odie is going to come in and testify. If he's going to come testify, or if he's just going to write a sworn statement. He's already in Miami in jail, so they just have to transfer him from Miami to New York. So tomorrow, I guess, is going to be her. I heard they were fighting in court today. The prosecution and defense, they were fighting, and Judge Arun was not having it. He's like, cut it out. I think Diddy's team was trying to be slick. They have to come with the paperwork now. The hotel tickets, plane tickets, receipts. They have to prove the paper trail for the RICO. They have to prove who paid what, because she's saying I didn't have a job, I didn't have any money, even though I was paying people with a paper bag full of cash. It was Sean's money. They're gonna have to trace all that. What's gonna happen tomorrow? I guess the The government, okay, I'm listening to the live recording. The government asked Cassie, what did you say here? Cassie said, I have been told that there was a sexually explicit video out there about me. I reached out to Sean. The government asked Cassie, then what? Cassie says, Cassie said, we were driving. Cassie said, we were driving. If anyone wants to donate to the chat, I'm going to link the Cash App or PayPal in the top of this link. Government asked Cassie, what did she say? Cassie says, I've been told there was a sexually explicit video about me out there. I reached out to Sean. The government said, then what? Cassie said, we were driving back from NYC, from Atlantic City, to talk to this DJ Who Kid. I don't know who DJ Who Kid is. The government asked her, did that happen? Cassie said, at a restaurant. The government said, what was the security's role? Cassie said, the security's role was to intimidate. They were lining the room. Who was there? The government asked Cassie who was there. Who was there? Cassie said, Uncle Paulie and James Cruz. So, yeah, we know Uncle Paulie. Uncle Paulie had a sex trafficking lawsuit with this madam who was from Israel, right? Remember her? Let me see if I look it up real quick. She wrote a book. Uncle Paulie. Yeah, here we go. Let me share my screen. Uncle Paulie. So this lady right here, the Gangster Chronicles International Madam, Nevis Gadoni. She ran New York's undercover brothels and hosted sex parties for the Wall Street elite. In addition, running a prostitution ring, she also sold drugs to her customers and eventually was busted in drug distribution after being snitched from bad boy associate Uncle Paulie. Nevis's clientele included some of the U.S. government's highest rank officials, including members of the White House. So she's got her own podcast. How do I know this stuff? I don't know. So Neva Gadone came over here and tried to be an intern with Sony Music. Was it Sony Music, I think? And she was like, nah, that's not making enough money. She was like, I'll just bring some female workers over. And she met Uncle Paulie, I think, up at Sony. And he was hanging out at Perks up in Harlem with Diddy and them. So she was bringing Uncle Paulie, all the girls, back in the day, up to Perks up in Harlem. So this is what Cassie's saying, that Uncle Paulie was one of the securities. It's all, see, all the pieces are starting to connect the dots now. James Cruz is the Had a bad boy records. Let's see, James Cruz. James Cruz had a bad boy. See, now this is the RICO. Here we coming with the RICO because it can't just be him. It has to be a criminal enterprise. So they're saying, well, who was leading the criminal enterprise? So I did hear that this guy, he's coming to testify. James Cruz. Here we go. It's James Cruz. Holmes Enterprise to launch Latin marketing agency. He's supposed to testify. So she's saying Uncle Paulie and James Cruz were doing the security for her. Uncle Paulie. Let's see. Here we go. Uncle, this is when Diddy had a birthday party for Uncle Paulie. Is he Loom? Is Loom and Uncle Paulie the same person? They're two different people, but they look alike, right? Is this Loom? This is rapper Loom. That's Loom. So Uncle Paulie was. Oh, this is Harvey Pierre. He's another one supposed to come testify. All right. Let me go back. She bringing everybody's name in. Just, do y'all think he's gonna get life? If y'all think he's gonna get put life, in the comments, write life. Put life if you think he's gonna get life. They gotta put that she was against her will, prostitution, multiple states, RICO, and the team and the paperwork. And they got 8 weeks to do it. I'm listening to the case in the ears. You miss a lot. In the whole day, you miss a lot. A lot goes on fast. It's a lot to keep up. Now at the court, they're playing another video. Oh, they're playing the video in the hotel when Cassie called the police. Diddy comes back and drops the bag because Cassie was calling the police, and then Cassie hung up the phone. So Cassie did call the police. I think the beatings for her in the past 10 years have been normalized. So they released a 15-minute. So what we saw in CNN was like a 30-second video because it was sped up, but the whole video is like 15 minutes. So they played the whole 15 minutes in court. So he beat her up, he left, he came back, beat her up, left. She called the cops, came back, beat her up again, through the vase. That's what they're talking about. So she calls the police. I'm just trying to see if there's anything more important to report on. They're going through all the track. They're going through all the texts and messages saying that she didn't want to have freak off, that she had urinary tract infection, and that she was sad and she felt sick. And she's telling the government, yeah, she felt sick. The government's asking the government's asking Cassie which sex worker would go with her to the clubs. She said his name was Jules from the International Continental Hotel in LA. His name was Jules. I heard he was like 7 feet tall. He was like 7 feet tall. They asked her if she ever wanted to have sex with him. She said no, but she knew him. The government said, well, why did you do it? She said, because of Sean. The government asked Cassie, who was present when Sean would beat you up at the freak off? Cassie said, the escort would be there. The government asked Cassie, in the same room? Cassie said yes. Jules would be in the same room. The government said, in the same suite. Would they be aware in the same suite? And the defense said, I object. And the judge says, overruled. Cassie said, yeah, they were aware. Everything she just like, Diddy made me do it. Diddy made me do it. Diddy made me do it. I couldn't get away. He would get his goons on me and his security guard and nothing I could do. And I had no money. That's her defense. I'm still listening. Stress relief. Eucalyptus. She told Diddy in the text message, I got a UTI. I don't want to do the freak off. And he still said, we got to do it. And all of this is coming out in the court. There's new evidence that was entered into court. I really hope tomorrow I'm not as nasal. I know I sound horrible because I don't feel 100%. But hopefully it gets better. And I never got my new microphone. Sorry, guys. They're presenting new evidence. I think the feds are just hitting the defense team every day with like 3,000 pages of paperwork. Take that, take that, take that, take that, take that. Oh, that's the email. We went through that. We went through the email. I'm not going through that again. We went through the NDA with Jonathan Odie for the $5 million for the STD. We went through the email. We went through all the witnesses that she named that were coming in. She talked about Kim Porter, D Rock, Uncle Paulie, James Cruz, Suge Knight, Jonathan Odie, Drake. Only thing about Drake, she said she was going to a Drizzy. She was going to a Drizzy concert. Let's see how Cassie looked today in court. I don't know if court's over. What time is it? 5 o'clock. I think court's gonna be over in 20 minutes, and I guess defense is gonna come through tomorrow. What is today? May 14th. I hope she could just get through this part this week, go have her baby, have her joy, and just, put all of this behind her and get some release and some therapy. And oh God, look at this picture they drew. Look at this. Look at the sketches. Look at the sketch. Look how they got. She's sitting there with the freak off video and him in the towel. Why every sketch he keeps looking back? Every sketch he don't pay attention to every sketch that they draw. He keeps looking at the jury, trying to intimidate them. He keeps looking at the people drawing. The lady who's drawing him said she drew him on the other case when he was there with the shootout in the club with J Lo, which is great. How do you get the same art director for two cases? You don't learn. Look at her face. Her face is like, oh my God, him with the towel. This is crazy. This is just so crazy. But I think she's really trying to cover for him. I think she's still like not in love with him, but like she's not trying to put him in jail. She's not trying to prosecute him. It's the same like Rihanna and Chris Brown. Rihanna never pressed charges against Chris Brown. It was the state of Nevada or the state of California came after him. I think she spent a decade with this man. So somewhere, some kind of way, there's some admiration or affection. I think she feels bad about how it's gone, but I don't feel like Cassie's trying to put him away for life. And I think that sincerity, that because it's so sincere, it's going to come off to the jury as sincere. But you never know how these things are going to go. Look at the glasses. You got the glasses on. Gray hair. Cardigan. Cassie says they went to a gay club in LA. She said we were going to a gay club, a festival in Canada ran by Drake. Diddy came to her home and tried to attack her and threw her in the bed frame. And that's when she busted her eye open and D Rock took her to the hospital. And she sent the picture to Diddy so he could see. After he messed her eye up, She put hair over her eye, and they went to the Hamptons. And he wanted to have another freak off in the Hamptons. She said they got a hotel and an escort. And the government asked Cassie which hotel. Cassie said, "Oh, Dave, GHB." She took GHB and was with Dave in the Hamptons and went into a G hole and blacked out. And when she woke up, she was naked in the shower. So Jonathan Odie supposedly got that $5 million NDA because he had a spy camera. Because when he was their sex slave and would come and be with them, she used to black out a lot, go into that G hole or something. So he had a spy camera to film her because he didn't want to be held responsible in case she died. Crazy, right? He said Cassie would just be passed out. So he had a spy camera on her. So in case she went to G hole and didn't come back, he wouldn't be responsible. She said she went to a G hole, blacked out, woke up in a G hole, and they were freaking out. The government asked her then what happened. Cassie said she spoke to a friend of Diddy's and they had a freak off after that. So you nearly fall into a coma and then turn around and have a freak off. And you're talking about her eyebrow again, that it was busted. And she has a permanent scar on her eyebrow from Diddy beating her. Then they're showing her more pictures out of her laptop. She gave the feds her laptop and her cell phone. And they keep asking, "What's this picture?" She said this was a Kane's concert. She was on the passport. They threw him. He kept her passport and he threw her off the boat. And she went to a red carpet that same night. They asked her, "Did you attend the movie?" And she said yes. So basically, she would get beat every day, black and blue, cover up her scars, and still go out every night and do events. They asked Cassie, how did she get back to New York? She said she took a commercial flight. She traded her seat away. She's just talking about the flight when she got back to New York. She traded her seat. She didn't want to sit next to him. And on the flight, he played her freak up videos on his laptop. And he threatened to release him. Here's a picture of her lip right here, her lip. And I guess the stitches she had on her eyebrow. The government asked Cassie, when Diddy showed you the videos of the freak up on the laptop that he said he was going to release, they asked Cassie, how did she feel? Cassie says she felt trapped. The government says, when you landed in New York, what did you do? Cassie said she went to dinner. And then he wanted to have another freak off. So they had another freak off. The government asked Cassie, why did she do it? She said, to make him not threaten me. Guys, I think you kind of got we know what's going on in the last 2 days. I think you got it. Any questions, put them in the chat. I'll read the comments. I'll try to come back tomorrow. Hopefully I'm not as congested. I'll feel a little better. You guys be careful out there, and I'll be back. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up.